So one of the questions that's usually asked about SpaceX and Starlink is, do they have enough money to do this? Because, they have the government contracts. They send things to the International Space Station for NASA. They send up satellites for commercial purposes. Now, this is a whole new business opportunity for SpaceX. And they're going to use this business opportunity, Starlink, to make money so they can send their Starship to Mars. But do they have the money to actually send these satellites, all the satellites, to cover the Earth? And the answer is yes. Funding rounds have been oversubscribed for SpaceX, and recent rounds had more interest than what they were seeking. So they have enough money to do this whole project. And it's going to be difficult. The first 60 satellites, there's probably going to be some issues going on. This is the first time they've done it, so they're not sure how they're going to work. But they have 60 of them. If some of them fail, that's fine. Space exploration, satellite deployment is difficult. And doing 60 satellites in one launch, that is a big order to fulfill. But they're going to be doing 2 different mechanisms to try to deploy the solar arrays on these satellites. And the great thing about that is that they can get data from it. They'll have a whole new data set to work with about the deployment of these solar arrays. If one way works, that's great. If another way doesn't work, then they can just shelve it or fix it. So they're going to use this data that they get from this launch to make the next launch and the launch after that and the launch after that, etc. Make those more functional. So I already said they had funding, right? They already have money coming in from investors. Now, do they have any customers signed up? Not yet. They don't have any customers signed up because they don't actually have a product yet. But SpaceX is talking to possible strategic partners, such as telecommunications companies who have a problem getting internet to their rural customers. So does this mean that if you're a rural customer, will you have to go through your local telecommunications company, or will you be able to go directly through Starlink? And the answer is, we're not quite sure yet. They're still talking to those telecommunications companies and working out deals. And somebody asked, will the satellites on this launch, the launch that's tonight, scheduled for tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, will it be part of the operational constellation? Starlink satellites made at Redmond, Washington facility. And this initial constellation will not have interconnected links. They will ground bounce off of a gateway to relate to another satellite. That's what Elon Musk said. And there's going to be about 1,000 Starlinks that will be launched each year at least. That's what Elon Musk said. And they're going to be launched on Falcon rockets, but the Starship will likely become a launcher for Starlink at some point in the future. So the same ship that's going to go to Mars is going to be sending satellites into Earth orbit. And each one of these satellites, the launch of these satellites, it costs more to launch them than it does to make them. And that's even on the Falcon 9, which is reusable. But Starship would decrease the launch costs by at least a factor of 5. And in about 5 years, these satellites will become redundant, and they'll be replaced with the next generation of satellites. And what happens when these satellites get decommissioned? They fall back to Earth. Well, they disintegrate. They burn up on their way back to Earth. No one's going to get harmed by these satellites. They're not going to plunge into somebody's home or anything like that. Everyone is safe. And Elon was asked if they would launch satellites, internet satellites, for competitors. Elon said, yeah, we're happy to launch any satellites. It's always good to have competition. There will be at least one other internet satellite constellation, which is the best thing for the consumer. So tonight, May 16th at 10:30 p.m., the first 60 Starlink satellites will be launched by a Falcon rocket into orbit.